Okay. Good evening, everyone. I see that we have a couple viewers out there, so thank you for stopping by and checking out the first night that I'm actually doing a live feed on YouTube. So I've finally got everything all set up back here, and it's something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. But here we are. So I thought I'd do one of these YouTube live reaction things to the Kim Davis issue. And I have some stories and I have some things that I want to talk about today. Just some things that over the years have really kind of stuck on my mind, and maybe some things that I didn't get to express over the years that I really would have liked people to hear. But all right, I'm just going to go ahead and move us over to Firefox. Hopefully, that I have everything lined up here, and I most certainly do. So I'm happy for that. But anyway, starting tonight, I wanted to say thank you to Jim Obergefell, to all of the other plaintiffs that were involved in the very first fight for marriage equality back in 2015. It all finished up, and yeah, there's so many people that I want to thank over the years that have really been supportive. And I think the first one that actually comes to mind for me is down in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I had a really difficult time while I was down there over the last few weeks. It was a lot of pressure. I know even though it's not realistic that everything was on our shoulders, but it sure did feel that way, especially how the media covered the story with all of these things continually, that marriage equality was going to be challenged and done, and it really was a lot of pressure. And I'm glad. And even though I knew like 99.9% of the time that we were going to win, there was still that slight chance. I was telling everyone locally that I thought it was going to be 7-2 roughly, and I don't know that we have the exact numbers, but the few articles that I've been reading, it says that actually it came out everyone. There was no people who or justices that were interested. At least that's what I think I got from the articles that I read. So I think we're okay. And I think that when I think about kind of what makes me happiest about the whole thing. I know a lot of people think money and things like that, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But the one thing that really makes me the proudest of everything that we've done is we get a lot of the legal documents. We get all the legal documents in the email. And of course, that kind of inspired me to go ahead and look at other legal websites and things. So I got to looking at a lot of just court cases around the country that were going on. And the one thing that really makes me feel so good is this case is already being cited and quoted in other cases. So it's going to help other people. And that's what is most important to me. If the work and everything that I do in this life, hey, listen, I have spent 20 years of my life teaching, and I spent my life in service, and I still spend my life in service, even tonight. I'll have a couple of viewers tonight. I didn't push for the mainstream media, I didn't want to. But this is my commitment to you. I'm willing to even develop a entire YouTube channel just to kind of keep the message going. So really, please keep coming back and just visit. I would like to talk to so many people. I'll take a look at the chat, but obviously there isn't too much there. But okay. So really what I wanted to start out with these articles tonight is Jim Yates and William Smith Jr. They just they lost their case, and their case was heard right along with ours. And I know that they were completely disappointed, and every right to be. But I want you both to know that you're not forgotten in this fight, And here, if this message gets out to the mainstream, I'll be really happy that I was able to at least honor the two of you. And like I said, I need to thank the lawyers, and I need to thank well, out in Bowling Green, there was a woman who really helped me get through the darkest time, and her name was Billy Free, and I just want to thank you personally if you happen to watch this video. But absolutely, I have great friends at my job, and a lot of things have really changed over the last couple of years. But okay, so looking at James Yates and Will Smith, they had issues with Kim Clark as well. They didn't get issued marriage licenses, But really, why I picked this article and what I wanted you to all see was, David and I weren't the first people to get married in Moorhead, and that was uh, James and Will, and so let's give them credit and due where it's due. But all right, I loaded a lot of websites here, and this one I wanted to talk about a little bit. A lot of people in Kentucky, at least maybe a lot of people who support Kim Davis, I've heard over the years saying, that we have wasted Kentucky's dollars because when Kim Davis first lost her first fight, I believe with the ACLU here, and I think it's ACLU. Let me double check here. Yeah, it's ACLU. But anyway, when she lost that case, it was $222,695. Actually, I don't think Kim actually lost that case. I think that was the state specifically that lost the money. But anyway, the whole case itself cost the state $222,000, and then it shows a little bit more in this article. So a lot of people, may have suggested, that this whole court case really cost the taxpayers money, and it did cost the taxpayers money. Actually, the ACLU case cost the taxpayers money, but this one you should be satisfied to know that she's going to have to pay the court costs for this one. So she is finally going to be held responsible for what she has done to us and really to the entire LGBTQ community. It was so stressful. I can't even tell you how many people that I had talked to that were really upset about it. But let me show you something else here while I'm at it. Sorry about this, but I do this in my classes all the time. But I wanted to talk about some of the KRS statutes in Kentucky that, believe it or not, I believe James and Will were involved in bringing a case um, to the state about Kim Davis for these exact charges. But I wanted to talk about this because I talked about this a long time ago to quite a few people. In fact, I think I did a presentation where I talked about this. Now, I want to be clear. I am obviously not a legal counsel. I don't have 100% credibility on talking about this. In fact, not much at all, except what you see in front of you. But anyway, what you see is KRS 522.020, which is official misconduct in the first degree. Now, there is another statute that falls under this, which is very similar, which is unofficial misconduct in the first degree. So I want to read this to everyone because there was the opportunity for the state of Kentucky to actually hold Kim Davis accountable. And I want everyone to know exactly, how brazen that her actions really were. This is what she could have been held accountable for, in my opinion, based on the language here. Again, this is my opinion, but this is what I've thought for a long time. So, anyway, official misconduct in the first degree. A public servant is guilty of official misconduct in the first degree when, with intent to obtain a confer, a benefit, or to injure another person or to deprive another person of a benefit that he knowingly commits an act relating to his office which constitutes an unauthorized excess exercise his official functions. And this one's kind of the one here a little bit. Refrains from performing a duty imposed upon him by law or clearly inherent in the nature of his office. Violates any statute that lawfully adopted rule or regulation relating to his office. When I look at that and I think about how we were handled in that office, I'm pretty sure that this kind of falls under this. So I looked this up a long time ago, a few years back, and I'm fairly certain that for every infraction of this rule, there's up to, I think, a $250 fine. I think up to a year in jail for each occurrence. Now, if you go back and you think about the multiple couples that Kim Davis denied, she had some time here if this really would truly have been followed through with by the state of Kentucky, in my opinion. I may be wrong, and I will own up to that. But I will say that this is out there, and it's definitely something that I think some people should know. Something else, well, I'll bring it up a little bit later, but something else I kind of wanted to mention about this is a lot of people, and this is really personal, A lot of people, you know, in the media, they have put their words in my mouth, told me why we did this, told me, that I have some animus against Kim Davis. In fact, I'm going to show you a website straight from Liberty Counsel, which is Kim Davis's lawyers. And, I have a really good mind to going through the Internet Archive and looking at everything that was posted at me because what I read today is disgusting and it's disgusting. But anyway, what I wanted to say about this because Matt Staver was putting out there that my view on this is we sued her for hurt feelings. So I'm going to cover hurt feelings. And I want to let everybody know how despicable of a person she actually is. So when we had first gone to get the marriage license down there from the Rowan County office, I and I should preface this and say I didn't put our YouTube video up. I didn't load it up to watch tonight. Some of it's just not what I want to see anymore. But yeah, when she denied us that license, what happened was we turned the cameras off at the request of Kim after, I don't know, a few minutes, whatever it was that night, day. But after we stopped the camera, Kim Davis, my husband, he asked her if she would give marriage licenses to pedophiles, to rapists, and to murderers. And you can look this up. It's in the Sixth Circuit when the jury decided she had to admit to this over while she was testifying. But she said, yeah, that she would give a marriage license to rapists and well, she agreed that she would give a marriage license to pedophiles and rapists and murderers. And I was abused when I was a child, so I know what that experience is like. And you can call this hurt feelings all you want to, Matt Staver, and I'm talking directly to you. You don't speak for me, and you better watch out the next time you do, because I'm looking. But I'm going to tell you something. We have a big problem in this country with officials deciding to hide pedophiles and not make them responsible. Well, I, uh, I want everyone to know that there's a lot more people out there that are watching than just the women that were hurt in the Epstein situation. We're all watching, and I hope they do the right thing. But the reason that I got so angry, and I have a temper, I get angry over the years. Ask Dave, he would tell you. But absolutely 100%, I will say to you to this. You're not going to insult me like that, and you think I'm just going to stand there and let you attack my dignity in that manner. It was not going to happen. This was a 10-year fight. This was about my dignity. This was about me. This was about the dignity of every LGBTQ person in this country. And I'm going to tell you something too. I did interviews with Megyn Kelly. I did interviews with Russia Today. I've done interviews pretty much all over the place when it first happened. Even went to Fox News, and I did that purposely on my mind so that way we would be fair and we would cover all the audiences that we could out there. But I'll tell you this too is I teach communication. That's my job. I've been doing it for almost 20 years. So it shouldn't be any surprise, that I would set something like this up and want to talk about my own situation. But yeah, so that's official misconduct in the first degree and unofficial misconduct in the second degree. Now, those KRS statutes could have been updated by the point that I'm talking about this, but they've been there since. So here they are, and they were enforced back then. But fair enough. So we did take a look at the $224,000 in fees and costs that she had actually cost the state of Kentucky when the whole case was decided with the ACLU, and then with us, it was $360,000. Therefore, more or less, but plus interest. But I'll say this: there's no expectation of receiving any of that money, not on our end. I don't think about it, and it wasn't really something that it's money. But anyway, you have to sue when these people overstep your bounds and they violate your civil rights. You have to hold them accountable. But $224,000 in fees and costs, plus what she will owe out to us. Most of that is definitely going to the lawyers, and they have been phenomenal. Mike Gartland and Joe Buckles. I mean, he was with us from the very first day that we walked through that office. And I got to tell you, I've never hired a lawyer in my life. And they have just been so overly friendly and so helpful. And I absolutely want to recommend Joe Buckles out to anybody that I can. And Mike Gartland, let me tell you, sir, when you got up there and made your statement and you said that if they wouldn't have decided for us, you would have to reconsider your job being a lawyer. And that stuck with me and it'll stick with me for the rest of my life. You were just as willing as I, and I will always, always thank you for that. But okay. So we talked about Jim and Will and or James and Will, which is really nice. I'm sorry. But this was something that I wanted to talk about here about a little bit. So these are the lawyers that actually sued us. It's Liberty Counsel. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I am going to expose to you a little bit of what's on their website and some of the things that they've been saying about us. So this was November 10th, and it talks about SCOTUS declines to review the Kim Davis Obergefell challenge. So I wanted to scroll down here and let's take a look. It says, believing marriage is a union between one man and one woman, Davis ceased issuing any marriage licenses from June 29 to early September 2015 while she sought an accommodation for her religious beliefs. Here's what I wanted to say, and it's not a lot off of this article, but two sets of plaintiffs, including David Ermold and David Moore, sought to mock Davis's Christian faith by forcing her name on their marriage license and through litigation. And I have a severe problem with this statement because over the years, I have been exactly the opposite. I have stated over and over again to people that I did not care if Kim Davis's name was on our marriage license. All she had to do was have one of her deputy clerks issue the license, initial it, or if she would have made herself absent, if you go back and you look at the KRS statutes, if she would have gone on vacation or anything, one of the other clerks could have issued it. If she's absent, though, it becomes the job of the judge executive. You know what the judge executive said to us when he said he couldn't issue them? He said he didn't know how to use the software. That's the garbage that we were dealing with, right? You don't hear this in the news, right? This is how we were treated. So yeah, I'm voicing a little bit tonight, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And whether you're listening or not, I'm going to put the YouTube video up, and I will absolutely edit the first bit of the recording because I left the um, still streaming thing on earlier. But anyway, yeah. So a little bit down at the bottom, and this is my suggestion to everyone. Yeah, it's going to be really hard for another government official to have standing in a case to bring it up and fight this particular angle. So yeah, I'm going to say that we are fairly safe as far as the marriage equality is concerned. But I do want to bring this to your attention because this is Liberty Counsel, and I'm getting ready to show you another article that is just really over the top. But this is what they say. They say, we will continue to work to overturn Obergefell. It is not a matter of if, but when the Supreme Court will overturn Obergefell. And they spent 10 years after appeal, after appeal, after appeal, after appeal, after appeal, and they drug this case on for 10 years. They get in the articles, they go around and say that we were the ones that drug this on. We appealed once at the very beginning of the case. We lost that appeal, but we won on that, or I'm sorry, we appealed and we won that appeal. We won. And you lost everything else, all of it. And all those donations you collected, you kind of wasted them. And I hope that the people who donated to you actually do see that it was a waste. But on my behalf, maybe I should thank you because you put us in a position where we could actually defend marriage equality, and now it's pretty much here to stay. So yeah, sometimes things turn out a little bit differently than you plan, but this one certainly did. And, it has not been easy on my husband. It has not been easy on my community. It's not been easy, on anyone that I'm aware of. They just a lot of salacious statements, in my opinion, that are made. And this is the one that really I want to share with everyone tonight. Um, they tried to destroy her, but their assault may backfire. So, all right, if you hit the main, I'm sorry, let me move back. But the main title of this is This Evil Move May Backfire. Literally, literally, evil, evil, evil. This is the language they're using, right? I have a feeling this kind of, presses against my reputation here a little bit. But I'm going to read you this entire thing. I absolutely did not highlight any of this because this is the language. So she never wanted the spotlight, yet her name became known worldwide. In recent months, her name resurfaced in news outlets from the US to the UK and beyond. Kim Davis would have preferred to leave the controversy over marriage in quotation marks because, have to be sarcastic because this is what Christians do, behind once she won her religious freedom rights in 2015. But two vindictive men have steadfastly refused to allow her to do so. Yeah, vindictive. Let me tell you, the 10 years that I've been through, little bitter, not vindictive. For the last 10 years, David Ermold and David Moore have run a constant and targeted campaign of personal harassment. They're accusing me of harassment here. And you better watch the language against Kim solely because they want to punish her for her Christian faith. After long 10 years of battle, these two men, Liberty Counsel, has brought the case to the U.S. Supreme Court because if a person can be sued for exercising their First Amendment religious freedom rights, then America has no religious freedom at all. And then, of course, now comes the ad, right? I cannot overstate the importance of this case. We need your help to win. So, of course, there's the smear campaign, and then there's the money pitch, right? So let me tell you this about all of this. And this is what I find pretty much the most irritating about everything with people who are anti LGBTQ or vote against LGBTQ people. We have really a huge section of the political party of, well, whatever parties are out there. It really doesn't matter. But they use the LGBTQ community as a political football, and then they don't like them or they don't want to treat them the same. So, literally, let's use the LGBTQ people that we don't like so we can get our political agendas done. That's what it is. And if you don't get it, you don't see that all they're doing is pitting us up against each other so that we argue over these petty argument. Well, not this isn't petty, but you see that we argue politics and we argue really think social issues that most of us probably agree with to a certain degree. But everything gets all tied up, split the electorate. It's a lot easier to win a split electorate than it is one, that's kind of even handed. It's a lot easier to split your electorate that way. You don't have to convince as many people. You only need to convince 1% over top. So don't think they're not working really hard and money isn't an issue in Washington because I do 100% believe that's the case. So again, I will state on this again, these are all my views and my opinions. I will show you articles and things that are factual, but as far as everything else, it's my opinion. But yeah, so they give you a little bit of a timeline on this one, and they talk a little bit about the way it went. But here we go. So when Ermold walked into the county office to file for the election, it was Kim who helped him navigate the paperwork and file the documents. If Kim were the bigot the pro LGBTQ crowd makes her out to be, she would have refused to help Ermold or had someone else do it for her. But Kim demonstrated pure grace to the man who had been and was even at that very moment attacking her. So that was when I went to file to run for her position. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. And I know that there's not an audience out there really tonight, but I'm recording this and I'm going to put it up on YouTube. But what I did want to say about this is when I ran for office and I went down into her office, she really did. She was nice and she handled everything very well. But I will tell you that the experience was a really difficult one. I'm going to say that when I ran for that office, it was one of the very most difficult things, I think, stressful things on my marriage, on my relationship. But we worked really, really hard. And I have to thank absolutely everyone that had donated to that campaign because we had more than enough money. And what we did was we used the money to get billboards. We got everything we could. We spent all the money that we got in the community because we knew that most of that money was coming from outside of Moorhead. So we went to all the businesses and had the printing and had the signs and everything done. We did local events. We did a an event for the LGBTQ people at the school. We had a local event downtown. We really did quite a bit for the community. We used that money on the community and for the election. And unfortunately, I didn't win, which was a little depressing, but disappointing, I would say, because that's my community, and I thought they would have my back, and they kind of didn't. But yeah, so the experience was, kind of a difficult one, but hey, we did, have a lot of LGBTQ, staff that was helping with the campaign, and we were able to, get them some experience and get them $15 an hour while they were with the campaign. So, I was so helpful, and you all helped us do that, and that is, just a key moment in the whole experience as well. The other thing that I wanna say to you about that was money that we did have left over. um, what we did was, there was I don't remember, to be honest with you, 6, $7,000, whatever it was. There it was other. I think David managed most of that. But what we did was that Christmas we had pretty much put up the adoption fees for every single cat that was in the Tri County Animal Shelter. So that is a place that is really near and dear to our heart, and to both David and I. I'm not speaking for David tonight, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we cleaned out the entire shelter of all the cats for that Christmas, and that's where we are with things. That's what we do. So I'll make a plea to you. Why not? If you want to help, buy a T-shirt off the website. That will help me personally so much right now, and I mean that. But maybe look up the Tri County Animal Shelter in Rowan County and give a consideration of a donation down there to help the animals. It's really difficult for the animals in rural places. A lot of them, a star that works down with, well, I'm sure they still do, but they bring all the animals out of Kentucky that they can get, and they take them Pennsylvania and other places where they can get adopted. So that is something that is really kind of important to us, and I would appreciate any kind of consideration that way if you watch this video. But okay, I'm going to bump us on. I want to take a look at Human Rights Campaign as well. And this says, "Love is still love. Supreme Court declines to hear Kim Davis's challenge to the constitutional protections for marriage equality." Basically, we had done some work for HRC when the issue first started a long time ago, and they were really kind to us. They were kind to us at festivals. We've seen people there. One thing that a lot of people don't know was they had recorded us to record a question for the presidential election for the one of the debates that was going on. They didn't end up using it. I don't know if HRC didn't use it or if it just wasn't picked from the people there. But yeah, that was absolutely something. Another experience we got, which was just kind of out of the blue, and we did it, was we had got an article done in GQ magazine, and I got to say, if there's something there that really I can look at and say, wow, I don't have a single friend, family member, or anyone I know that has somehow made their way into GQ magazine, but there it was. So I don't want to say that everything here was a big downer. Some things really were. When Kim Davis visited the Pope or got to see the Pope, I'm not Catholic, but I do know that's a little bit of a slap in the face. But it's nice to know that the current Pope probably feels quite a bit differently about things, and we'll have to see. But yeah, that was something that was a little irritating. Another thing, I believe that she flew over to Romania or one of those countries over there. I can't remember where it was, but anyway, they were having a battle against marriage, LGBTQ rights there, and she was happily, fly across the country to go and talk to that. Now, again, could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. But anyway, yeah. So HRC, they really were helpful with us and giving us the opportunity to get our voice out there, which is exactly why I'm not doing the mainstream media tonight and chose to do this myself. But they say today, love one again. When public officials take an oath to serve their communities, that promise extends to everyone, including LGBTQ people. The Supreme Court made clear today that refusing to respect the constitutional rights of others does not come without consequences. And that was exactly the statement that I put out to the media today. And it's on my Facebook page. But basically, it's saying just that. It's been hell, it's been purgatory, and it has. And tonight, I'm surprised. I read it this morning, the news this morning. I was at work and I looked down at my phone, and I was just about 10 minutes into class, and I read the news, and class was a little short, and I'm sure they appreciate that. But yeah, that was just a feeling that I was overwhelmed by. That's something else that I want to mention while I think about it, and my students are very much aware of my forgetfulness. But I absolutely have the best classes that I could possibly have, and I am so proud to have every single one of you. And I hope that you're watching tonight, or at least somebody mentions it to you. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to show you this article from Liberty Counsel. I read this to you. It says this evil move may backfire. It's what they're accusing me of. And then I want to read this to you. And let me bump us over here to the main cam so you can see. This was a card that I got from my students last semester, and I've been teaching for the better part of 20 years. And in all those years, I've never gotten a card from anyone. So these students, they got me this card. It says, for a great teacher. And earlier in the semester, I told them that if you're having a bad morning, to go on and put a pair of crazy socks. Because I stopped by Buc-ee's a long time ago, and I bought some Yoo-Hoo socks and some Kit Kat socks. And I think I don't know what I bought because they bought me new socks, and they had the designs on them. And then they gave me this card. And so I want every person out there that has ever judged me because of this case and because of who I am, I want you to see what they wrote, and I want you to read this. I'm going to read this to you. It says, thank you for your hard work, dedication, and caring. It makes a difference. Thank you for always being so considerate and caring with our education. It's not everybody you get a teacher that genuinely cares. So thank you. Your class has made us better communicators and pushed us out of our comfort zone. Always remember that your work matters. Never let anyone make you feel worthless. We wanted to get you a couple treats and some crazy socks because we want to brighten your day. Thank you for everything that you do, Diva. Yeah, that's an evil person. Stop trying to smear my reputation. All right, let's move on. The real reason, right? It says that Kim Davis never stood a chance at the Supreme Court. I really didn't have a chance to scan this article, but I'm going to give you an idea of likely what it's about here. I believe that, what is her name? And this is awful because I really should absolutely know this stuff. But I can't, she replaced Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But anyway, she wrote a book, I believe, and she was talking about this case, and she said to some effect that, I don't think that she was interested in overturning the ruling. And one of the other conservative justices all did the same thing. And I'll tell you this, that I also knew what way long time ago when the ruling had originally came out was Justice Thomas had mentioned that this was not the vehicle to overturn marriage equality in the country. It was written right there. So I knew. I knew. Now that's not to say, that a state couldn't sue or whatever, but not this time and not with us. And all right. So something else I did here was I pulled up a few videos, so maybe we could take a look at some of that. I'm going to move us over here. Take a look at Fox News. This was back in 2015, and this was President Trump on the case when they asked him if Kim Davis should follow the law.
Back in the United States, Kim Davis released. She wouldn't give up gay marriage license. What is your advice to Ms. Davis? Should she have issued the license?
Well, she was released, and that was good, and it was too bad that she had to be put in jail, and I'm a very, very strong believer in Christianity and religion, but I will say that this was not the right job for her, because we had a ruling from the Supreme Court, and we are a country of laws, and you have to do what the Supreme Court ultimately, whether you like the decision or not, and it was a 5-4 decision, whether you like the decision or not, you have to go along with the Supreme Court.
All right, so you would have said issue the license or take what comes.
All right, so there we go. I mean, that's President Trump right there. He commented on it and said that, he thinks that she should have followed the law. So for me, and the reason I bring that one up is I'm kind of curious what his feelings are now. And, some issues that he's talked on, I think he was fairly solid about. This one, I guess we'll have to find out. But all right, I'll take another look at another one. And I absolutely do have some opinions about this one. And I'm sorry if I get a little heated. Sorry about the commercial. This one is on CNN, and there was no way I could prevent it. All right, let's skip it.
It is far more than one clerk saying she will not issue marriage licenses. It's that every one of us will have to decide whether or not we want to keep this great republic or whether we're willing to sacrifice it and surrender it to tyranny. And I think we gather here today to say we will not surrender to the tyranny of one branch of government.
Notice the white crosses.
I do not think that it is possible to explain America apart from the providence of Almighty God. There is no other explanation for how this country could have come into being. There's no other explanation for how this country could have been sustained. The only explanation is that God intervened. And I believe this week, once again, as Forrest Gump so wonderfully said, God showed up. And he showed up in the form of an elected Democrat named Kim Davis.
And there we go. That's all that I really have to show you about that. And I will tell you what happened here. I believe Mr. Huckabee is from Arkansas, and he was getting ready to run for president at that time. So what he did was come all the way from whatever state he's from Kentucky. Also, like Liberty Counsel, coming from a different state as well in Kentucky. And by the way, we hired local lawyers out of Lexington, where I'm at right now. So yeah, we did everything very thoughtfully. We weren't just running to whoever's going to take us up, regardless of not even looking at their credibility or background. That's ridiculous. But this disgusts me. This was outside of the jail when Kim Davis was released, and they had a rally there. David and I had also gone to a rally up in Louisville at the State House, and there were literally thousands of people, and slipped in the back, and I took some pictures and posted them up on Facebook back then. But yeah, Mike Huckabee comes down here. getting ready to run for president, and he just uses our struggle. He uses our fight. He doesn't like us to begin with, right? And then, yeah, use us for your presidential aspirations. That's what this really comes down to. It's just like getting used and abused, right? It's just how it is. You just can't win, all because religion can't be forced on all the citizens here. But yeah, so and don't forget, Ted Cruz was doing his what do they call it what do they call it when you photobomb? Yeah, Ted Cruz liked to photobomb that event too for his presidential aspirations. So let's just talk about, exactly how authentic these people are. And my opinion is not very much. But all right, I've got a bunch, I told you. So I'm going to kill this one. And then I'm going to bump us over to Trump on the phone. This one was from a while back as well.
Let me ask you about that Kentucky court clerk. You were asked about it at your
Oh, I'm
appearance
sorry. We looked at
yesterday and
that
said
one.
you hadn't had time
It
to
was
look into it. So now, what
this
do you
one right
think?
here. Now, this
She's
one is
refusing to
the New York
grant-
Post, and it
The
says Davis
Fantastic
isn't fighting
Four
for
is
religion.
now streaming
And
on
again, I
Disney
apologize
Plus.
for the commercial. As soon as it pops out, I'll get rid of it. For some reason,
It's one of the best superhero movies of
premium
all
on
time.
YouTube was
The
not picking up.
Fantastic
It
Four,
picks up
now
on a
streaming
couple
on
of them.
Disney Plus.
but
And now
not
get
all
Disney
of them.
Plus, Hulu, and all of
But,
ESPN
all
with
right.
an incredible offer.
Kim Davis, the former Kentucky clerk who violated the rights of a couple when she refused to issue them a marriage license following the legalization of gay marriage in 2015, is now petitioning the Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell v. Hodge altogether. In a filing last month, Davis asked SCOTUS to review the 2015 ruling, calling it a legal fiction. Matt Staver, the chairman of Liberty Counsel, a nonprofit that is representing Davis, said, Kim Davis's case underscores why the U.S. Supreme Court should overturn the wrongly decided Obergefell v. Hodges opinion because it threatens the religious liberty of Americans who believe that marriage is a sacred union between one man and one woman. But that's not what religious liberty is. The First Amendment does indeed protect the rights of Americans to exercise their religious beliefs without interference from the government. That is a sacred right that is fundamental to dignity and freedom. But religious liberty does not require that you personally agree with every law that your government passes.
And this is definitely true, right? There's a lot of things that I'm sure that people don't agree with. But what you can't do as a political or as an elected official is take your religion, create effectively what is an office policy, and then dictate that policy of your religious views down on your constituents who are literally paying your salary. And I will tell you something else about the situation then too, was she's one of the highest paid people in Rowan County as far as government officials from what I was told back then. And we can't forget that her mom was the clerk and she was the one who got her into office. And then we were all going through the situation that we went through. Her son, Nathan, was working in the office too. So let's not pretend that, that isn't something to consider as well. Also, church friends, I believe, were working in the office. So it was a lot of friends, I believe, and people that in the community. Natural, I guess. But yes. And also there were passages, religious passages and things that were taped up across the walls. That office was not run anywhere near professional at that time as far as that is concerned. And so here we are. But all right, let me see. I have one more clip for you. This one is MSNBC. Takes me.
Joining us now is Leah Littman, University of Michigan law professor and co-host of the podcast Strict Scrutiny, and Mark Joseph Stern, senior writer for Slate and the co-host of the Amicus podcast. Mark, fill in the gaps here. Why is the same-sex marriage issue back before the Supreme Court today?
Well, the court will be considering a petition by Kim Davis. You may remember she was the Kentucky clerk who refused to grant a marriage license to a same-sex couple shortly after the Supreme Court issued its decision. The couple she discriminated against sued and ultimately won $100,000 in damages. She is appealing that damages award and that decision and argues that she should have been able to raise a First Amendment defense that providing the license violated her freedom of of religion. So what she's primarily asking for is to be free of a $100,000 judgment against her. But her lawyers added to the petition saying, while we're at it, we think this would be a great opportunity for the Supreme Court to re-examine and overturn the marriage equality ruling because it was wrong on the day it was decided, and it has had bad consequences for anti-gay religious individuals like Davis.
Leah, if the justices decide to take up this case, what does that tell you?
If they decide to take it up, I think it's clear they would actually overrule Obergefell versus Hodges. There's no real reason for them to take it other than that, but I still don't think that's likely to happen.
Well, that's it, right? We don't really need to continue too much on that video because she's kind of explaining to you as it is. And I have been saying that for quite a long time, that I just really legitimately knew that this was not the angle. It wasn't the cleanest angle. This isn't a private party. I don't know how it can be a private party. So I was trying to think about, what other litigant, what other person who had a problem with marriage equality could really come up and bring a fight against this particular one, because they'd have to be an elected official. They'd have to be a government official. But we've already got the case and it's done. So I hope it helps in that regard. I really do. But I've been running a while. I don't really see, let me update the live chat here, but I don't think there's anybody on tonight, which a little disappointing, but that's okay because I wanted the video to get out. Kind of wanted to introduce myself, introduce the channel, What I plan on doing with the channel is I just want to do stories similar to this, but also local stories and what's going on. I really would like to get down to recording some of the drag shows and maybe kind of highlighting some of the local people that really don't get as much exposure as they deserve, And the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years since all of this happened, we've been going to pride festivals up and down the coast and selling t-shirts. And that's why I got a t-shirt thing here. And it would really help. But anyway, yeah, so we've been selling t-shirts up and down the coast. And so I get to see a lot of people at Pride. And so I hope to see you all out there sometime. You have the channel, you have my email information. And of course, do the like and share thing just for me this time. I'm really just wanting to have a channel to talk to people. There was some things a long time ago, some news stories that I think should be covered. And I can tell you some stories about some of the things people would say to me down in Moorhead and stuff back then. But we'll leave that for another day. But I appreciate you all taking the time. I've left you up on this screen, so let me bump me back over to my cam here. But yeah, I very much appreciate everybody taking the time to watch the video and to give me an opportunity just to explain my view. Again, everything here is my view. It's my opinion. Anything that I say, please fact check and make sure that it's accurate, because a lot of times I can be a little bit forgetful. But yeah, I just want to say thank you again to my students, and thank you to Mark Ebenhock and all of the people that were involved in that Supreme Court case back in 2015. It really changed my life. And I'll say this in closing, and maybe this will help some people who don't understand their son or daughter who's gay or lesbian or trans. I knew that I was gay probably back when I was 9 or 10 years old. I hadn't even hit puberty yet. And, you get growing older. You hit about 12 or 13 years old. And my aunt was getting married in the Stoltzfus farm up in Lancaster County. Kind of a really traditional area, to get invited on their farm and have your reception there. It's something up in that community. But anyway, I remember I was sitting in the pews. They weren't pews. It was actually no, it was pews when I think about it. But I was sitting in the pews, and I just remember thinking as a 13-year-old, I was thinking to myself, I'm never going to have this experience in my life. And I carried that with me, for a long time. And here we are, and somehow I sort of become part of the face of the whole movement. And I will say it's been a struggle. But I'm proud of what we accomplished here. And I'm proud of what everyone else has accomplished here. But I want you people to understand that when children are young and they're told that God hates them or God hates an innate a characteristic about them that really, honestly, even if you went to therapy or whatever the conversion therapy they had, I'm sure there's some successful cases here or there, but you know, yeah, let's torture ourselves or go through these things in order to try and just deny something of who we are. But think about that struggle. Think about a child who is has been abused. They've been through the system. They had to pretty much take care of themselves their at least defend themselves for their entire lives. You know, you've had kids at school saying, "Look at the queer, look at the faggot," whatever that they could come up with at the time. So yeah, that was a total enjoyment. So, you kind of bury all of that inside and you kind of just accept that you're not okay. Well, here's the thing. We need to be done with that attitude, and maybe if we can focus on enjoying our own lives instead of focusing on how other people's enjoy theirs. And I think that's as simple as it can be. So last thing I'll say, and then I'm done, was and I posted this on the opening screenshot there, but I've been waiting to say this for a long time to somebody else, and maybe this is a little vindictive, but the fact is, I have had so many people tell me in the 52 years I've been on this earth that I don't hate the sinner, I hate the sin. And that is just great. But I'll tell you, I don't judge Kim Davis. I judge her actions. And you take that for what it's worth. And I believe that's specifically stated in the Bible that judging others just leads to yourself being judged. And maybe we can treat our neighbors a little bit kinder. But that's what I have to say. I'm gonna pick up and do videos, over time. Maybe I'll pop a live session if I get a little bit of an audience. And please do stop back though, because I do enjoy talking, obviously, and it would be mean a lot to me. But have a great one, and thank you again for stopping by and watching the video.